There's someone walking through your life right now who carries something profound inside them, something they guard carefully like a sacred flame they're afraid might extinguish if exposed to the world too soon. You might sense in the way they look at you when they think you're not paying attention, in the extra second their gaze holds yours before they glance away, in the subtle shift in their energy whenever you enter a room. This isn't ordinary affection or casual fondness. What this person feels to you runs deeper than the surface conversations you share, deeper than the friendship or connection you've built together. It pulses beneath everything like a hidden current, shaping their choices, influencing their words, coloring every interaction with intensity they work hard to conceal. The universe has a way of weaving souls together through invisible threads, connections that defy logic and transcend the boundaries we try to place around our hearts. You felt this before, haven't you? That unexplainable pull towards someone, that magnetic quality that makes their presence feel different from everyone else's. Maybe you've dismissed it as chemistry or compatibility, but what if it's something more? What if the very fabric of existence has been quietly orchestrating moments between you, creating opportunities for closeness, testing the waters of what might be possible if both of you were brave enough to acknowledge what's really happening? This person feels a love for you that they might not even fully understand themselves. It's the kind of feeling that arrives uninvited and refuses to leave, that makes them think of you during their quietest moments, that causes your name to be the first thing that crosses their mind when something beautiful or painful happens. They try to rationalize it away, convince themselves it's just admiration or deep friendship, but their soul knows the truth even if their mind resists naming it. Pay attention to the small things, the gestures that seem innocent but carry weight, the way they remember details about you that others forget, the effort they make to be present in your life even when it would be easier to maintain distance. These aren't coincidences. These are the breadcrumbs the heart leaves when it can't speak its truth directly. The spiritual realm operates on frequencies that our conscious minds often miss, sending messages through feelings rather than words, through energy rather than explicit declarations. If you've been sensing something shifting between you and someone close to you, if there's been electricity in the air that you can't quite name, trust that knowing. Your intuition is picking up on what their heart is broadcasting, even if their lips remain sealed. Take a moment right now and bring this person to mind. Notice what you feel in your body when you think of them. Does your chest expand? Does warmth spread through you? Do you smile without meaning to? These physical responses are your own heart's way of acknowledging a truth that hasn't been spoken yet. Inside this person's heart lives a confession they've been carrying like a precious stone too valuable to place in careless hands. They've written it 100 different ways in their mind, rehearsed the words during sleepless nights. Imagine how it might unfold if they finally gathered the courage to let it spill into the space between you. But something always stops them at the last moment, some fear that wraps around their throat and turns their bravery back into silence. You need to understand that their hesitation isn't about you. Not really. It's about the terrifying vulnerability that comes with exposing the deepest chambers of the heart, with handing someone else the power to validate or shatter something so tender it barely survives being acknowledged internally. When we love someone profoundly, the stakes feel impossibly high. What if speaking the truth ruins everything? What if the friendship or connection you've built together crumbles under the weight of feelings that weren't invited or reciprocated? What if the very act of confession drives you away instead of drawing you closer? These are the questions that haunt them in the spaces between your conversations, the doubts that strengthen the walls around their truth. There's also timing to consider, and this is where the spiritual dimension becomes especially significant. The universe operates according to rhythms we don't always understand or appreciate, orchestrating revelations according to a divine schedule that often frustrates our human impatience. Perhaps they've sensed that you weren't ready to receive what they needed to say, that your own journey needed to unfold further before you could truly hear and hold their truth. Perhaps they themselves needed to grow into the fullness of their feelings, to move from uncertainty into absolute knowing before speaking words that can't be taken back. This waiting isn't passive or cowardly. It's the soul's wisdom recognizing that some truths are too important to rush, that the right words delivered at the wrong moment can do more harm than continued silence. Think about the conversations you've had with this person recently, the moments when it seemed like they wanted to say something more, but stopped themselves. Remember the heaviness that sometimes settles in the air between you, that pregnant pause that feels full of everything that remains unspoken. They're standing at the edge of revelation, gathering their courage, waiting for the moment when the fear of remaining silent becomes greater than the fear of being exposed. And that moment is approaching faster than either of you realize. The energy between you has been building, accumulating like water behind a dam, and soon that dam will break. Not because anyone forces it, but because truth has its own gravitational pull, its own insistence on being born into the light. They can feel it too, this approaching threshold, and it both terrifies and excites them. Part of them wants to retreat back into safety, while another part is so tired of carrying the secret alone, so exhausted from pretending that their feelings are smaller or simpler than they actually are. Honor the weight of what they're carrying, even if you don't know its exact shape yet. The universe has been speaking to you all along, whispering messages through synchronicities and signs that your logical mind might have explained away, but your intuitive self registered and stored. Maybe you keep seeing their name in unexpected places, or you think of them just moments before they text you, or you dream about them with a vividness that feels more like memory than imagination. These aren't random occurrences. These are the language of something larger than coincidence, the way the invisible realm confirms what's real even before the physical world catches up. Pay attention to how often they show up in your thoughts without invitation, how their energy seems to find you even when you're physically apart. This is quantum entanglement of the heart, the phenomenon that occurs when two souls become connected at a level that transcends ordinary space and time. You might feel their emotions without them saying a word, sense when something's troubling them even from a distance, or experience unexplained shifts in your own mood that later turn out to mirror what they were feeling. This emotional telepathy isn't mystical nonsense, but the very real result of deep energetic bonding between two people whose frequencies have learned to harmonize. There's also the matter of how they behave around you versus how they are with everyone else. Have you noticed the subtle differences? The way their voice changes when they speak to you, softer somehow, more careful with its tenderness? The way they position their body toward you in group settings, as if magnetically oriented in your direction regardless of where the conversation flows? The way they remember tiny details from stories you told weeks or months ago, details that even you've forgotten but that they preserve like treasures? These behaviors aren't accidental. They're the involuntary expressions of a heart that pays attention because it cares deeply, that holds on to every piece of you it's offered because each piece feels precious. And then there are the moments of almost confession, those times when the air between you gets thick with something unsaid, and you both feel it, but neither of you names it. Maybe there was a night when you talked for hours, and somewhere in the middle of it the energy shifted, became charged with possibility. And you could almost taste the words forming on their lips before they swallowed them back down. Maybe there was a silence that stretched just a beat too long, heavy with meaning, before one of you broke it with something safer, something that wouldn't require either of you to be quite so brave. Your soul remembers these moments, even if your conscious mind has filed them away as insignificant. Bring them back now. Feel into the truth they were pointing toward. The spiritual teachers tell us that everything is always showing us exactly what we need to see if we're willing to look with clear eyes and an open heart. So look again at this connection, at this person who occupies so much space in your inner world. Look at the pattern of their presence in your life, the way they've consistently shown up, the investment they've made in knowing you and being known by you. These aren't the actions of casual affection. These are the footprints of love. Something is shifting in the energetic field surrounding you and this person, a gathering momentum that signals change approaching on the horizon. You might feel it as a quickening in your chest when you think of them, an anticipation without clear object, a sense that something significant is about to unfold even though you can't point to concrete evidence. Trust that feeling because it's real. The universe is preparing you both for a moment of truth, aligning circumstances and internal readiness, so that when the revelation finally comes, you'll both be capable of receiving it without running away. Divine timing is perhaps one of the most frustrating and most perfect aspects of how destiny unfolds. We want what we want when we want it, but the cosmos operates according to a wisdom that sees further than our limited perspective allows. This person has needed time to become certain of their feelings, to move past doubt and fear into absolute clarity about what they want expressed to you. You've needed time too, even if you didn't realize it, time to evolve into someone who can hold and honor what's about to be offered to you. Everything happens when it's meant to, not a moment sooner or later than serves the highest good of all involved. Watch for the signs that the revelation is imminent. They might become more present in your life suddenly, reaching out more frequently, creating opportunities to spend time together, or conversely, they might pull back slightly as they gather their courage, going quiet before the storm of truth breaks. Their behavior might become erratic, swinging between warmth and distance as they wrestle with whether now is finally the right time. You might notice increased tension in their presence, that feeling of something coiled and ready to spring, words pressing against sealed lips desperate for release. The spiritual realm often sends confirmation through repeated numbers, unexpected encounters, or messages that seem to arrive at exactly the right moment with exactly the right words you needed to hear. Have you been seeing repeating numbers lately? Sequences like 111 or 444 that catch your attention and make you pause. These are angel numbers, cosmic nods that you're on the right path, and that significant shifts are underway. The universe is quite literally counting down to something important. When the moment finally arrives, it might not look like you imagine it would. It might be quieter or more explosive, more planned or more spontaneous. But you'll know it when it happens because something in the air will change irrevocably. Truth has a weight and a presence that can't be mistaken for anything else. When someone finally speaks what's been locked inside them, it creates an energetic release that both people feel simultaneously. The walls come down, and suddenly you're standing in a completely different landscape together. One where everything means something new. Prepare yourself not by rehearsing responses or deciding outcomes ahead of time, but by opening your heart to whatever wants to emerge. This revelation will ask something of you too, will require you to be honest about your own feelings and brave enough to speak your truth in return. The universe doesn't orchestrate these moments so that one person can confess while the other just listens passively. When hidden love finally breaks the surface and becomes spoken truth between two people, the world doesn't simply continue as it was with one additional piece of information added to the mix. Everything transforms. The relationship you've had until this point will never exist in quite the same way again. And while that can be beautiful and exactly what both your souls have been longing for, it also carries complexity that you can't fully anticipate until you're standing in the middle of it. There's a kind of death that happens when truth is spoken, a death of pretense and careful distance, of the safety that comes from not having to fully commit or be fully seen. That death makes space for something new to be born, but birth is intense and messy and requires both courage and surrender. When this person finally tells you what they feel, they'll be handing you something incredibly fragile, their heart essentially undefended and exposed in your hands. How you receive that gift will matter enormously, not just for them, but for your own soul's journey. Even if you don't feel exactly the same way they do, you can still honor the bravery it took for them to speak their truth. You can still recognize the love being offered as precious, even if you can't accept it in the form they're hoping for. Or perhaps you discover that what you feel in return is equally profound, that you've been carrying your own unspoken truth that mirrors theirs. In that case, you'll both step together into territory that's thrilling and terrifying, where the stakes are high and the potential for deep fulfillment exists alongside the potential for profound heartbreak. But here's what I need you to understand. What the universe wants you to know as you stand on the threshold of this revelation. The outcome isn't nearly as important as the transformation that happens through the act of truth-telling itself. Regardless of whether this becomes a romantic union or a deeper friendship or a parting of ways, so that you can each honor what's real for you, you'll both emerge from this moment more whole than you were before. You'll have practiced radical honesty and vulnerability. You'll have chosen courage over comfort. You'll have allowed your heart to be seen rather than hidden. And that, in itself, is sacred work. But there's something else waiting beyond this initial revelation, something neither of you can see yet because you haven't crossed the first threshold. There's a reason this person's love has remained hidden until now, and that reason is more complex than simple fear or bad timing. There's a layer to this story that hasn't been revealed yet, a truth beneath the truth that will only become clear once the first confession is spoken, and you both begin to explore what it actually means. What if their love for you is connected to something larger than just the two of you? What if there's a purpose to this connection that serves both your individual evolution and something beyond yourselves? The universe rarely brings souls together in this way without intention, but that intention isn't always immediately obvious. And here's the question you'll need to carry with you. When the truth finally emerges, will you be brave enough to ask what else they haven't told you yet?